Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and welcome to another very special Winterblade Co. production knife review. This is the new Winterblade Co. Veyron. I'm going to tell you guys right now, this is my favorite of the three. I loved the 8. I loved the M-Fire. Love the 8 more than the M-Fire. I love this one the most. It is my favorite. I'm a big fan. I don't know why I'm doing the Papa Meat thing right now, but the guy rubs off on you. But yeah, this is my favorite. This is super, super cool. This has what's called a J-lock system, which I'm definitely going to show you guys here in just a little bit. I'm going to take the knife apart, show you the internals. But this is like everything that makes Winterblade Co. Plus a super durable and super fidgety locking system that is completely ambidextrous. I love this knife. And I'll also say this is definitely one of the best knives of 2024. It will definitely make that final list. Potentially, this could potentially be my favorite 2024 knife. So we'll have to see. But for right now, I still want to review this knife because there's a lot to cover. It's a Winterblade Co. It is not a simple thing, and I want to talk about it. Thanks so much to Winterblade Co. for allowing me to share this with everybody. This will release on October 23rd. You're probably watching this on October 23rd, so I'll make sure and have it linked in the description so that you guys can go and pick this up if you want to. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. Let's go ahead and get an overall measurement. This is not a small knife. Not an absolutely monstrous knife, but not a small knife. It does come in at 8 inches. It's pretty heavy, but yeah, a full size, not a gigantic size, but it is a heavy knife. We'll get to that. 3.5 inches of blade, 3 inches of cutting edge, thanks to a large forward choil. Size comparisons real quick, up against the Factor 8, which is larger, and the Factor. I thought for the Winterblade Co. knives, it's probably good to do, you know, kind of see that it's I would say it's closer to the Factor 8, and in a lot of ways, it definitely feels larger, like basically just the girth and the weight, right? But this feels like a heavy-duty knife without being absolutely monstrous. It's definitely larger than the Factor, the standard Factor. How about some size comparisons up against more common knives? Any custom scales in this section can be found down in the description under Original Goat and Original Goat and others, up against the 8010 and the 8020.5. Not quite as robust as the 8010. If you're carrying around the 8010 and you're like, nah, I'm good, you'll be fine with this, right? It is definitely larger than the Demco 8020.5, which I want to talk about here because I know before I get into it, especially when I show the lock, people are going to look at the coil spring and say that it's the exact same idea as the shark lock, and it isn't. If you've seen the inside of the shark lock, it also has a coil spring and operates with a switch via the, on the back, which we'll talk about. But there are many systems that utilize something similar. This is different the way that it engages, right? It's also the entire system in its entirety is its own thing. But systems that operate on like pull down and pushing pieces in behind the tang of the blade, we have, of course, the ram lock. And before the ram lock and the shark lock, we had the coil spring axis lock that was in the Benchmade Anthem. And that was hardly the first system that operated similarly or relied on a coil spring and 2 pegs that sort of, actuated the whole system. So I want to emphasize that the fact that we now have locking systems that can be operated this way by moving, pieces of material like this back with switches on the side or the spine or both, and we can use a coil spring instead of omega springs is great. Ambidextrous, you get the strength, you get the ease of manipulation. We should be seeing more systems like this, variations of, things that are popular. We absolutely 100% should. It is a good thing, right? So it does operate similarly to the shark lock and the super lock and the ram lock and the coil spring axis lock, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it's not the same thing. Brian Winters, he definitely still did his own thing here. Let's go ahead and put it up against the Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3. In between in terms of length, but definitely it feels like a larger knife than both, like by a long shot. And then finally up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case the Ritter Hogue, and the Hogue Deca. How is the action on this knife? My God. My God, it is so good. Number one, you can easily thumb flick it because of the positioning of this open slot here. That's fine. It'll do it. It is more satisfying to reverse flick it, which it is also easy to do. You can also just pull down on these tabs here. It's kind of neat. You can see inside here how it sort of engages with that. That's what that little section right there is sort of what creates the detent, which is substantial. Definitely feels much more clicky and solid than your typical crossbar lock. And I think it's probably because that area where it like slips over that event horizon, right? It's not it's not a continuous rounded surface. So it feels much more distinct and deliberate and click and clack. It just feels better. The quality of that section feels better. You can also pull down on these two tabs, left and right, and you can actuate it this way. Or you can pull on the secret switch back here and operate it similarly to a shark lock or super lock or whatever. This is incredibly satisfying and very, very convenient depending on, like if you're wearing gloves or you're not wearing gloves, or you have preferences or whatever. I do wish there was a little bit of texturing right there. I do wish that. But I think other people might not, because that is technically a zone where, ergonomically that might not be the most comfortable. Either way. This knife can be opened so many ways, right? You get a complete and total fidget factor package without a front flipper, but I don't count that. I don't care about that. You get the total package. No matter what the situation is, left, right-handed, gloves, no gloves, right, slippery environment, whatever, doesn't matter. You're going to be able to deploy it, and you're also going to be able to put it away with ease. But at the same time, the locking system is incredibly strong. This system, unless I am horrifically mistaken, does not utilize any magnets. So some people are going to be disappointed. What? A Winterblade Co knife that doesn't utilize magnets? And it's your favorite? He still made it. It's still got Brian Winters in it, right? It's Brian Winters that makes it special, not magnets, right? Magnets need the power of Brian Winters in order to be special. Otherwise, a magnet is just a magnet, right? It's just something that kids throw at refrigerators from 2 feet away. I'm kidding. Magnets are actually really cool. But this doesn't utilize any magnets unless I'm mistaken. I just don't know what I'm talking about. I didn't see any. But this is my favorite of the three. But the benefit to that, for those people, who don't care about the magnets, is this is a Winterblade Co knife you can enjoy and take into environments that have metal shavings. Well, outside of the normal issues that you would have with allowing metal shavings to enter your knife, which people seem to forget would be an issue for any knife if it was, enough volume, right? You definitely wouldn't want to just dump metal shavings into your knife. But anyways, the magnets won't attract it because they're not present. So that is cool and will be interesting to those people, unless that population of people is just there to complain and didn't care anyway. It seems to be the case. It just seems so many people are just ready to jump and comment magnets are bad for environments with metal shavings. I got to say it first. If that really bothers you and that's legitimately been the only thing holding you back from a Winterblade Co knife, then here you go, right? But anyways, action good is what I'm saying there. Action very good, very satisfying. I love this. This is everything that I could want in a knife, right? I mean, almost, right? But as far as the stuff that I love about ease of manipulation and locking systems, this is really cool. Carry profile. Thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. It's not really thick. Lengthwise, length and height up against the PM2 and the Para 3. I'm going to explain why it's heavy here in just a second. It's fairly tall, and lengthwise, it is definitely longer than the Para 3. It's almost as long as the PM2, just slightly shorter. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a hardware check. I'm going to get out my tools. As per usual, my tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel. So we have a T8 pivot, and by the way, it is a captive, like a D-shaped pivot barrel, which is great, so it's not going to move on you. That's why there's no adjustment head on this end. We have 1, 2, 3 T8 screws on each side, which is not minimal, but it's also totally fine. We also have T8 screws for the pocket clip, and there's a mounting position for left-handed people, which is great because the system is entirely, like it's completely ambidextrous. The left-handed experience with this knife will be exactly the same as the right-handed experience. As long as you have the right tools for the job, you should be good to go. It is very easy to get inside. Why is it so heavy? It doesn't have anything that makes it look incredibly heavy, right? It's actually got a steel liner. I think part of the reason is the housing for the system, but also because it's got stops, and he probably wanted a steel surface for the stops. Maybe you don't have to have that, but mostly I think it's the housing for the system that utilizes the coil spring. I would venture to guess, right, from just taking that off of there. But that is something that is present. You'll have to work around that. It's not difficult. And the coil spring that's in there, which I'll show here in just a moment, will not fly out of the handle because the back of it is hooked into a section of that system that has a little hole to allow that hook. So it doesn't fly apart, which is great. That's what I was worried about as soon as I took that off there. But it did not fly apart. It's really great. This clicking sound that you're hearing is actually the movement from this system left and right. It's not something that you can hear. It's just something that you can feel moving. And it's essentially just the metal interacting, like these two teeth on the inside sort of slipping back and forth, right? But that's what that is. It's not play, or it's not that I don't have anything tightened down completely. It's just that this needs to be able to move a little bit to operate smoothly. So there has to be a little bit of movement in there left and right, right? But it's all, in fact, in the open position, it feels completely in tow. It's only in the closed position. But anyways, yeah, not a difficult thing to take apart and put back together, which is a huge part of how much I enjoy a knife. So that's great. It does run on bearings, but you probably knew that. Let's weigh it, right? What's the blade? Whoops, did I just cut my background? Yeah, oh well. What's the blade made out of? This one is 20 CV. Interesting choice. The Rockwell hardness on the 20 CV in this case is 61 to 63. Holy crap. Yeah, we definitely hit the right range there. Like everybody else in the knife world is going 59, 61. And everyone's like, please, 60 to 62. And Winters is like, how about 61 to 63? It's Kunwu, right? Because this is actually manufactured by Kunwu, which is really cool. But yeah, that Sergio is like, no, we're running that stuff hard. That's a weird choice of steel for a knife that seems to be more geared towards hard use. I agree, and they agree too, because the other option is Vanax, which is very similar to MagnaCut. So if the 20 CV doesn't make sense to you, go with Vanax, because that's going to be a much, much better choice. I still think MagnaCut probably would have been the best to offer, but Vanax is an incredibly good choice for this style of knife. It's not going to have quite the same level of toughness as MagnaCut, right? But it is still plenty tough, and it'll have a lot of the same qualities as MagnaCut. And Kunwu does a great job. So I just want to make sure and point that out, that you do have that option. The other reason for the liners, by the way, is probably because the other option for the scales is G10, which makes it less expensive, which is cool. We'll get to the price later. The weight on this guy is 6.0 ounces. It's a 6-ounce knife. It's very heavy. It's also butt heavy. The balance is back here. This is going to bother some people. I don't care. I like how this feels. This thing feels like a beast, like a tough, durable beast. It feels extremely capable. So I really like that. Let's go ahead and measure the blade stock thickness, which should be easy to do if my calipers are in the right place. That's awesome. So the blade stock thickness on this guy is coming in at not anything crazy, 123 thousandths. So there you go. It's going to have great cutting geometry either way. All right, meat and potatoes time. A lot of people looked at this and said they didn't like the blade. It's very Winterblade Co. Like the whole Winterblade Co. aesthetic, like this is very on theme for Winterblade Co. But not everybody liked the blade. That's completely, subjective. You like the blade, you don't like the blade. The same could be said with any knife. It does not have much of a tip, right? It's more of a kind of a cleavery thing. Straight edge here. It'll be plenty easy to sharpen. It is extremely utilitarian. For somebody like me, who doesn't do a lot of tip-oriented tasks, this is great, and I still have enough of a tip to dig in. But if you're used to clip points, drop points, spear points, like I've said in the other Winterblade Co. Knife reviews, you might not like this blade shape as much. Either way, the 20CV and the Vanax are very well accentuated with this geometry. It's nice and thin. It's a full flat grind, and man, does it slice and does it cut. The fact that it does not have much of a tip is, in this case, with the entire design being more geared towards the robustness, right? That lock isn't going to go anywhere. That stupid little test that I do is nothing for this. I'm not sitting here suggesting that this is as strong as the Triad lock, but is it stronger than the majority of locking systems on the market? You betcha. That's going to hold up, right? You're really going to have to abuse this. The way that engages, which actually, by the way, is a good time to show you how it engages. So I'm going to go ahead and take this apart and show it to you real quick, and then we'll be back. All right, so here's how it looks on the inside. This is pretty cool. You can kind of see exactly how this operates here. We've got this slot carved out with this spring, and as you come around, this slides into place right here, giving it an enormous amount of contact, and it's in a position where it would be extremely unlikely to disengage because of, normal force, right? But you can see what happens there when you pull back. It's really cool, right? And then this sort of area right here creates that event horizon, as I call it. It slides over and down into the closed position. And no, the blade does not touch the studs in the closed position. So we're good to go there. Okay, we'll put it back together and get back to the review. Okay, so we've got it back together, but yeah, the way that this engages and all comes together is it's very robust, right? It's definitely going to be a reliable system. As I was saying before we started in on that, it doesn't have a tip, so if you are using this in a way that is outside of the normal parameters of a knife, you won't break the tip because you'd have to really try. There's just not much of a tip there. So depending on how you think of that, it might be a benefit, right? Anyways, the ease of manipulation here and the fidget factor is all just so spectacular. Everything feels so solid. The lockup is absolute. It's not going to move. It doesn't hardly, every now and then I might feel like the slightest hint of stick, but not much, right? So, but the aesthetic is going to be polarizing, partially because we got the holes here you can see through to the steel liner underneath, which now that we're on the subject, it has to be steel because of the way, yeah, it definitely is. Just want to make sure that I wasn't wrong this entire time. But you can see that underneath. Some people aren't going to like the weird, like how it kind of comes in like this and comes back out. Some people aren't going to like the holes. You love it or you hate it, whatever. It's definitely on theme, like I said, for Winterblade Co. It looks unmistakably like a Winterblade Co. knife. And the entire thing, even if you don't like the aesthetic, I think everybody's going to agree that it is just extremely well done. And that's, of course, like Kunwu knows how to manufacture something. And hats off to Kunwu for getting this done. I've never seen them do anything like this. It's just extremely cool. It's extremely nice. Everything feels incredibly high quality. It says Winterblade down here, which I don't love. It also says Veyron up here, which I don't love, but much like in the Factor 8 review, the font and the fact that it follows that opening hole perfectly means it's a lot easier to look at, right? The font it's not invisible, but it does blend pretty well with the overall aesthetic, so I don't hate it, right? I think it's fine. Again, I really wish, especially on this knife, we had some jimping. It's got a pretty good index finger choke-up spot. You're definitely not going to run your finger up on the blade. It's just like, it's plenty open, and then it kind of runs to the frame and goes this way, but it's still plenty comfortable, right? I still don't feel like I'm going to slip off of this knife despite it not having texturing. I would have loved it if they had done this texturing, how like they like around the edges, if they had done that on these bevels, like that would have been super cool and just given that little bit of extra sauce there, right? But it's fine. I think mainly I would want the jimping up here, but that's okay. I don't think Brian Winters has ever put jimping on the spine. He must not like it, which, okay, he designed the knife, and it doesn't need it to be a good knife. It really doesn't. Ergonomically, pretty darn good. As far as comfort between all three of the models, I would say I still think the 8 is probably the most comfortable, and then this one, and then the M-Fire of the newest ones. But this is still very, very, I'd still give it a B+, A-. Like, it's still definitely very, very comfortable. The edges are nicely knocked down, despite it looking very angular. it is not sharp anywhere. The pocket clip in and out of the pocket, really great. It just rides like just to the left or to the right of this little groove right here, but it does give you extra room. I guess if your material gets jammed up in there, there's some depth. I never had a problem in and out of the pocket. It was fine. And like I said, you can mount it on either side, which is great. This has a stonewash finish. I think they'll have a black finish or stonewashed, and then there's 3 different colors of G10, or you can do titanium. The titanium is going to be the most expensive, obviously, but you do save quite a bit going down to the G10 model. And then, like I said, you've got 2 different options for the blade steel. 20CV is such an interesting choice, but because whatever, the 20CV is they hardened at 61 to 63. Now, that means, I got to stress this. If you are going to buy this knife and you're going to take it out and beat on it, you need to buy the Vanax one. I'm not saying Vanax is the toughest steel in the world, but that's a way better choice. 61 to 63 20 CV, that is good for cutting continuously. That is not going to be tough. 20 CV is not a tough composition, and at 61 to 63, it's even less so. But it will cut for a very, very long time, right? So you got to ask yourself how you're going to use it, right? Don't, be that person who buys it and they're like, I went out and I tried to chop rebar with my 63 20 CV Winterblade Co Veyron, and it looks like my knife had its teeth knocked out. Well, you did the wrong thing. Choose the right blades. I'm not saying Vanax will hold up. I'm just saying 20 CV is not going to be the steel for the tough, the harder tasks. But use your knife like a knife, and you'll probably be okay. But anyways, I love how this all comes together. I love the system. I actually think this is really easy to engage with. It's just a little bit slippery, right? And there was something else that I felt. Was there something else, or was it just the slipperiness of it? Yeah, you can slip off of it, right? But once you kind of figure out where it is, you're good to go. I like that it's there. And I like that you have the option, right? I mean, you can manipulate this however you want. I mean, you can use the hole, not use the hole. You can wheel it out. You can use the studs here, whatever your preferred means of manipulation is, right? No backspace, or just a couple of standoffs. That's fine. Like I said, pocket clip is fine. Your stops, you have the studs here, which are garaged and contact a steel frame, making, just assisting further in the fact that the lockup is unbelievably solid, which it is, right? No, I mean, periodic, the slightest hint of stick, but not really. No pivot lash or anything like that. Very smooth and consistent here. I love that snap, right? It's not too heavy, but heavy enough that it feels better than your typical crossbar lock. And then we also have perfect centering. This is impressive. A lot of people are going to be disappointed that there's no magnet involved. Again, unless there's a secret magnet that I don't know about, but I don't think so. I like what he made here with the locking system. It's kind of within this trend of locking systems that can be manipulated in multiple ways, especially on the spine, and ambidextrous, but also very, very strong and not involving omega springs, right? I love that he's doing that and messing with these locking systems, because these are really, really great, right? If you're a FUD and you think that everything that's new is all about fidget factor and it's not about function, well, then you can enjoy the functional aspects of this. If you're somebody who wants that in the, and the reliability of the locking system, and you want fidget factor, it's got that too, right? It's just hard to be mad at any part of this. It's really great. The system is definitely tough, right? How strong compared to the I have no idea. I'm not the right channel for that, but it's definitely a strong locking system. Very impressive. This is also the probably the best priced. Unless I'm wrong, I know you guys are thinking, like, why are you so not confident? Reviewing not 1, not 2, but 3 Winterblade Co knives will do a number on your brain. It will. There's a lot of details here, and these are very, very different than the typical pocket knife that I review on this channel. So I'm trying to make sure that I got everything right. But yeah, it's a variation of their patent pending stealth lock, which is what it says right here on this paper. But your G10 variants will, as far as I know, also have the option of both Vanax and 20CV, but they come in at $250, which is a lot of money, but I think it's the least expensive of the new releases. The titanium version comes in at $330. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty impressed with that. I always say that if you're going to charge more than $300 for your knife, it better bring the extra. And this this left the extra in the dust. Like it went way past the extra. This is my favorite design. It's going to be polarizing the aesthetic, right? It's definitely, the knife that I think is the most capable. I love the system. I think it's cool, magnets or not. I think he made something really, really spectacular here. My knife of the year last year, I think, was the Veyron, and this is right there. Like, this is potentially the knife of 2024 from me. The Factor 8 is close, and I think a lot of people might, disagree with me, especially with that quad, magnet system. And there is a part of me, I kind of have to go back and forth with these and really kind of figure out which one I think deserves it, right? Between like just my favorite thing of 2024 and the actual best knife of 2024. Both of these are really spectacular, and I'm not sure which one I am rooting for, but right now there's nothing else really. Yeah, there's a couple of things that are kind of close, I guess, but there's a lot of really awesome stuff for 2024. This is such an exciting thing, and I really enjoyed carrying it and using it, and I'm going to keep carrying and using it because it's awesome. This is extremely recommendable, but obviously polarizing, right? I think anybody who picks this up will enjoy it, but it's not going to be for everybody because, number one, it is still an expensive knife, even if the price is on point, in my opinion. And it's also not a look that everybody's going to like, but I love it. This is going to go on my recommended knives playlist, and it's also going to go in my favorite knives of all time playlist because it's definitely a favorite knife of all time. Oh boy, I got through them. I reviewed all 3 of the new Winterblade Co's. Wow, that's a lot. My brain is tired. Thank you so much to Brian Winters for existing and inventing this amazing stuff. That's going to be it today. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.